Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. In today's video we discussed car brands that are commonly mispronounced and we'll show you how to pronounce them properly. Many car brands and sometimes even models have become household names across the globe. Just think of a Chevy Corvette, a Porsche 911 or a Jaguar E-Type. While many of those brands are known by almost anyone, natives often pronounce them very differently than foreigners. Obviously, how a German will pronounce things, yes, is very different from an American, for example, due to language barriers. While it's not necessarily wrong to pronounce something in the localized way, it can never hurt to really understand how it's pronounced the original way. So why exactly is it important to understand how to pronounce names properly? Well, outside of your personal appearance, the way you speak will set the biggest first impression. Understanding how to pronounce a car brand will be impressive to native speakers and car enthusiasts alike. They will immediately have more respect for you and perceive you as more knowledgeable. This can also be invaluable when you're networking or when you're just befriending someone because it shows an immediate interest in someone else's culture, and they often welcome that. By the way, if you want to learn about other brands outside the car world and how they're pronounced properly, please check out this video here. With that being said, there will be times where pronouncing brands in a localized way is much more advantageous because it may come across as arrogant. So, as so often in life, the key is to know who your audience is. So without further ado, let's jump right in and start with Korea. Personally, I love Korean food, especially kimchi. I love their technology, as well as the sense of style a lot of people display. But they also produce a bunch of cars. Kia is one of the big ones, but it's not difficult to pronounce it. One that a lot of people have issues with is Hyundai. Some people also say Hyundai or Hyundai. The way Koreans pronounce it is Hyundai. Hyundai. So the first part, Hyun, it's not just like an H, it's almost like a CH or Hyundai. And the back part is not like day in English, but de. Hyundai. Now let's move into Japan. They have lots of great food, whiskeys, manners, and also a bunch of car brands. The one most commonly mispronounced one is Subaru. You can tell Americans or English speakers will put the emphasis on the first syllable and say Subaru. Now a Japanese would say Subaru. The R is rolled on the R, and the emphasis is more in the middle. It's not Subaru or Subaru, it's Subaru. Now from Japan, let's move on to Germany. And as many of our regular viewers will know, I'm originally from Germany. Yes, I can speak English with a German accent too, that's right. Let's start with the one most common car brands and the mispronunciation which drives most car enthusiasts crazy. Porsche. Many, especially in the English world, simply call it Porsche. They use it as a silent E. Some people call it Porsche because the E sounds more like an A to them. But ultimately, that's not how Germans would say it. Interestingly, if you watch the brand's YouTube videos, you can see that sometimes they also pronounce it Porsche, which is a very American way of saying it.
Hybrid is not a compromise at Porsche. The focus is quite clearly on performance.
Now you could argue that if a brand pronounces a brand in a certain way, why should you care? Well, here at the Gentleman's Gazette, we like to dig a little deeper and give you the full version. So, unlike in English, where you have accents such as Welsh or Scotch, in German there are dialects. We call it dialect, and oftentimes it's not just the pronunciation, but people use entirely different words. In Porsche's home state of Baden-Württemberg, most people speak Schwäbisch, which would mean Swabian, and sometimes you even have subdialects such as Hohenloisch, wo Hase Hose und Hose Hose Hase. Now, you didn't understand that? That's just for insiders. For example, my best friend who comes from Western Germany can't understand my mom when she speaks Schwäbisch with him. Why on earth am I telling you all of this? Well, the purest form of German is the so-called Hochdeutsch, and Porsche themselves made a video about how to pronounce their brand name. Now just listen to it.
Porsche. Porsche.
Now did you hear it? The traditional German R comes from the back of the throat, Porsche. Porsche. However, if you shorten it, you just say Porsche. It's a slight R in the back of your throat. And the E sounds like an actual E. It's not Porsche, it's Porsche. She. Porsche. Now you actually go to the hometown of Porsche in Stuttgart and you ask people how to pronounce it, they will likely say Porsche. So for some people that may sound like there's no R there at all, but it's still there, it's just very silent. The Porsche. Next brand is Volkswagen. Volkswagen. Was that right? Volkswagen, or VW, as you call it in the US. You can see I'm having a hard time with this. Now in German, we call it Volkswagen. The V sounds like an F, and the W sounds like a V. Volkswagen. However, when you shorten it, it becomes VW. It's not F anymore, it's a different sound. VW. Weird, I know, but that's the way Germans are. In German, it means as much as people's car. It was actually a brand founded in 1937 with support of Adolf Hitler. He wanted a basic car for 2 adults and 3 children that would make it to 100 kilometers per hour or 62 miles per hour. Also, it was supposed to cost only 990 German Reichsmark, which was about the price of a motorcycle. He also wanted financing plans, and in 1933, Ferdinand Porsche, yes, the namesake of the Porsche car brand, designed a car that was supposed to have a bigger mass appeal. But there was no private company that was willing or able to do it, so with the support of the Nazi Germany government, they were able to realize the VW Käfer, or the VW Beetle car. Next up, we go to Bavaria and we look at BMW. Well, it seems straightforward, it actually isn't. It is short for Bayerische Motorenwerke, which means Bavarian Motorworks. The Germans pronounce it BMW. You can see it's like a V sound, but slightly different than in English. BMW. It's not BMW or BMW, it's BMW. And now we go back to Stuttgart again, to Mercedes-Benz. That's at least the way Americans say it. Germans would call it Mercedes-Benz. Again, you hear there's that slight R from the throat that sometimes is quite silent, but it's there. Benz at the end sounds like a TS, Benz. Mercedes-Benz. So how exactly does a German car brand end up with a Spanish female first name? Well, first there was a Daimler Motorengesellschaft, which was a merger between Gottlieb Daimler and Wilhelm Maybach. In the early years of the 20th century, this company was very successful with race cars. The very successful Austrian salesman for the company, Emil Jelinek, also had a keen interest in marketing and named the winning cars after his daughter, Mercedes Jelinek. Because of that, the Daimler Motorengesellschaft trademarked the name Mercedes for cars in 1901. 25 years later, the Daimler Motorengesellschaft merged with Benz & Company and it became Mercedes-Benz with the 3-star logo. Now, as you might have noticed, related to Mercedes-Benz is Maybach. And a lot of Americans would call it Maybach because it sounds like a K to CH, but in German it's called H. Everything that's CH is H, Maybach. And it means as much as May Creek. Say it again, Maybach. Yeah, I know, you may have to practice a little bit, but that's German for you. Another related company is AMG, which is the performance subsidiary of Mercedes. The proper German way to say it would be AMG. AMG. I know some Americans have told me it sounds like I am gay. I don't agree with them because I'm German, but it's called AMG. All right, now let's go back to Bavaria to cover another German brand, Audi. I know a lot of Englishmen call it Audi, but the German way to say it is Audi. Audi. AU is always ow. Maybe a bit like when you hurt yourself and you say ow. My little 3-year-old loves to say Audi A6, which is the car we drive. Next up, let's take a quick stop in England. Oh wait, I forgot something. Now in the US, we call it Jaguar E-Type, for example. But in England, it's called Jaguar. So the U is much more pronounced and the R is very soft. So it's not Jaguar, but Jaguar. Just FYI, Germans would pronounce it Jaguar, which is totally off the mark. All right, time to go to America. One of the hottest American car brands at the moment is undoubtedly Tesla. So what's the catch, you might wonder? Well, Tesla was actually a Serbian-American immigrant and scientist, and they use a harder S. like Tesla. Americans oftentimes use the softer S, Tesla, versus Tesla. Now, how it's exactly pronounced is quite controversial, but here is how Elon Musk pronounces it. Listen to it very closely.
Do you say Tesla instead of Tesla?
I say Tesla.
You say both, okay.
Tesla? I think I probably say it with a slight Z sound. I never haven't thought about it. I say Tesla.
To my ear, it sounds like Tesla with a softer S, Tesla. The next brand is Chevrolet. Now, Americans don't get that one wrong, but a lot of Germans or people from outside the US often call it maybe Chevrolet, or they want to say the ending, but it's kind of French inspired, and it's called Chevrolet. Short, Chevy. All right, now let's go to Italy, home of the world famous architects, good food, craftsmanship, and of course, wonderful cars. The first brand is Alfa Romeo, as Americans might say, but the proper way to say it is Alfa Romeo. You can see the R is rolled in the front of the tongue, Romeo, Alfa Romeo. And it's not Alfa Romeo, it's Alfa Romeo. Next up are the red cars from Enzo Ferrari. You can tell that double rolled Italian R. Ferrari. A lot of Americans may say Ferrari, or Germans may say Ferrari, but the proper way to say it is Ferrari, double R, Ferrari. Another well-known Italian car brand is Lamborghini. It is not Lamborghini or Lamborghini, it is Lamborghini. Funny story, the brand started as a manufacturer of tractors, and you can still buy Lamborghini tractors to this day. Once the founder, Ferruccio Lamborghini, had made it in life, he decided to buy 2 Ferraris, one for his wife and one for himself. According to the Lamborghini test driver, Valentino Balboni, Ferruccio was a guy who liked to make a show, but who was in fact a bad driver of cars. And because of that, his clutch had to be replaced frequently. After the 3rd or 4th visit to the Ferrari workshop, he decided to have his own mechanics take a look at the clutch issue. It was at that time that he discovered that the commercial clutch Ferrari used, which was also used in many other Italian sports cars at the time, was exactly the same clutch that he used in his small tractor line. Now at this point, Ferruccio got mad and he yelled, "I paid 10 lira for my tractor clutch and you charge me 1,000 for this Ferrari clutch. But it's in fact the same clutch." So one day thereafter, Ferruccio Lamborghini met Enzo Ferrari and said, "You build your beautiful cars with my tractor parts." Enzo Ferrari replied, "You're a tractor driver, you're a farmer. You shouldn't complain about driving my cars because they're the best cars in the world." Naturally, Ferruccio replied, "Oh yes, I'm a farmer. I'll show you how to make a sports car, and I will do a sports car by myself to show you how a sports car has to be." And so ever since 1962, Lamborghini has a car manufacturing division. And as you might have guessed it, the two companies are still rivals to this day. Next up is Maserati, or at least that's how many Americans would say it. A friend of mine told me that the dealership charged him over $1,000 to get an oil change done for one of those cars. Ouch! Now the proper way to say it is Maserati. Again, you have that rolled R that comes from the tongue, R, Maserati. It's not like a soft S like Maserati. Another car brand with a long history is Lancia. Now when you see it first, you may think it's Lancia or Lancia, but the Italians call it Lancia. Very soft, Lancia. Now let's say arrivederci et bonjour mesdames et messieurs, because we're in French territory now. The first brand is Peugeot, and they've been making cars since 1896. When you look at the name first, you may think of it as Peugeot, or German would be Peugeot, but it's called Peugeot. In French, the E and T are silent, unlike in German, for example, and the G becomes that soft J. Peugeot. Another brand that seems simple, Bugatti, is actually called Bugatti because it was founded by the Italian Ettore Bugatti. Even though it's considered a French company today, it was originally founded in the Alsace region of France, which became German, French, German, and back and forth, and now it's French once again. In the late 80s, the brand was brought to Italy, but then VW, or VW, bought the brand rights in the 90s, and brought the brand back to Molsheim in the Alsace region in France. The next brand looks scary at first because it has 2 dots on the E, but it's actually rather straightforward. It's called Citroën, and the 2 dots on the E just mean that it has to be pronounced separately from the O and the N. Citroën. Next up, motorsport fans are probably well acquainted with that name. It's called Renault. It's not Renault, it's just like Chevrolet, Renault. It's a silent LT. Last but not least, we're off to the Swedes. Oh wait, Skål! Let me get a little bit of vodka. My absolute vodka bottle is empty. Preston, did you drink it again? I told you not to drink during the workday. Employees these days, I tell you. The first one is the Swedish hypercar brand Koenigsegg. Named after its founder, Christian von Koenigsegg, it's called Koenigsegg. Now you could think it might be called Koenigsegg, but it's a little softer. It's OE in German or Swedish means Ö, Koenigsegg. And if you listen to him himself saying the name, it sounds quite softer on the G's.
I'm Christian von Koenigsegg. I'm the founder and CEO of Koenigsegg Automotive.
To me, it sounds like Koenigsegg. Again, Ö and not a very pronounced G at the end. Finally, we have a brand that most people don't think they pronounce incorrectly, and that's Volvo. What's wrong with that, you might wonder? Well, it's the end of the O. The Swedish pronunciation is Volvo. It's a shorter O, and it's not that Volvo. It's just Volvo. Again, not Volvo, but Volvo. All right, enough car brands for today. In today's video, I was wearing a fall-like outfit inspired by my Chartreuse colored vest. It's combined with a green checked shirt with barrel cuffs and a blue knit tie. I'm pairing it with a Prince of Wales check pair of cotton pants in brown and light brown, and a Donegal tweed jacket with a contrasting darker brown. The pocket square has tones of blue, green, and chartreuse, and therefore ties the entire outfit together. My feet are covered with a nice pair of Chelsea boots in a tan color with a nice patina, and my socks are from Fort Belvedere. They're brown with clocks that work well with the pants, but set a nice contrast with the boots, which are lighter in color. The jacket is vintage from Orvis, the vest is from Cordings, the shirt was made for me, the silk knit tie is from Fort Belvedere, just like the pocket square and the socks. The pants are from Polo Ralph Lauren, and the Chelsea boots are from Ace Marks.